Hey guys, Miss Loparty here. I'm going to take you through a text called The Great Stink. It's very important that we're talking about this because it actually has to do with one of our essential services that are still working during this crazy time, and that is plumbing. So we're going to learn a little bit more about that. Our learning target for this week is for main idea and key details. So I can describe the main idea and identify supporting text evidence or text details. Our essential question, just what we talked about, why is plumbing, that word looked weird to me, necessary to keep us safe. Okay, and today's focus, we're not gonna read the whole story today. We're just gonna be looking at it and diving in deep to it because we're gonna be looking and analyzing the text features. So I'm gonna take you through those and what those are. Okay, so I'm gonna take you through nonfiction text features and why those are important and why they can support the main idea and key details. So the nonfiction text features are as followed: guide words, title page, table of contents, index, glossary, heading, keywords, hyperlinks, bullets, cutaways, graphs, illustrations and photographs, captions, diagrams, labels, text box, maps, charts, icons, timelines, and sidebars. So we're going to go through these and I'm going to kind of talk about why they are important and what they are. Okay, so first things first is the title page. So the title page is super important because it tells you about the book. So, or the text, I apologize. So it'll show pictures, it'll tell you what the title is, and it'll also tell you usually where it's published. So for example, if I see a book from National Geographic, I'm not gonna assume that it's a fairy tale. I'm probably gonna know that it is a science or history-based text. Next is a chart, just tells you how much of something there is. It usually has to do with math or numbers, populations, what people think, so on and so forth. Table of contents is great for research. So, for example, if I'm looking for information about going to the movies, I would look in the beginning of the text and I would say, okay, at the movies, page 15, I know I can look there. All right, the index, if I'm looking for information on the elephant, I can go to the back of the book to find, or the back of the text, I apologize, to find the index, and I can go by ABC order, A, B, C, D, E, elephant, and I can look on page 12 or page 34. Next is another research or useful tip for us. We know we see these a lot, but they're called hyperlinks. And if something is underlined, bolded, or a different color, it'll take us to a new link. And if I click on this, it will take me to, I'm going to share you now with my Safari here, and it actually brings it right up for me. It took me right to National Geographic. Okay, so if I keep going, the icon, you see those are like apps. The glossary, that's where you can find the definitions of words. That's also going to be in the back of the book. Headings, this is going to be a really important one today because we're going to be talking about this one mostly. If you see bigger words, they're usually a different color, or they might be bolded. That tells you that you have a new section of information that you're going to be looking at here. So in this section, it's going to be all about fish. So if I'm looking for that information, I can see all about fish. Next is guide words. That goes along with dictionaries. We're not really looking at that today. Here's another very important one. The key words. They're usually bolded, italicized, or in color. So they are, those are important words. They are clue words, or they are our definitions or our vocabulary words. In this case for Storyworks, they're going to be our vocabulary words. Next, another important one for us is illustrations and photographs. Photographs are real live pictures, while illustrations are drawn pictures. Timelines, we're not going to see any today, but they are important. They go in chronological order. That means they go by a sequence of events in a time period. So it'll tell you information going farther along in time. A caption, this is another one you're going to see a lot of today. It goes along with a picture or an illustration. It tells information about why that picture is important and how it gives additional information. Diagrams, so diagrams show a picture and then they also give labels. So the diagram includes a picture and the labels, but the labels are just as important so we know what everything is. Text boxes, those give additional information about the text. They might give you information about something that's not as important or wasn't really included in the text or that couldn't have been included fluidly or that really in a way that made sense in the text. Maps tell you where things are. That's not important for you. That's not important for you. Different types of graphs, bar graphs, line plots, pie charts. All of those are important for you. So I will post this as well on our post here. Now let me move myself so I can hit full screen. There we go. All right, now we're in business. So the great stink. So first things first, we know that the title page can be one, and I'm gonna draw all over my page here. Title page. Now this is kind of like a magazine article, so it's a little bit different, but this I would consider to be our title page. And the cool thing about our title page here is that, oh, sorry, my computer's glitching on me. Come on. Okay, so sorry. Draw. Okay, there we go. Sorry guys, so the great stink, you can see that it's green. It kind of looks like a gas. So that's gonna kind of support that. This is definitely not a good stink. It is a gross stink. So just based on that yucky color, I can see there. So on this page, the first thing that I always look at is the pictures. So first things first, let's start up here, the river of death. So this is an illustration and it actually goes along with a caption here. So let's talk about this. It says the river of death. Let me see if I can make it full screen again. There we go. So it's a little bit bigger for you. River of Death. The cartoon drawn during the Great Stink captures the public's fear of Caloria. It depicts the Thames as the river's Styx. In Greek mythology, the Styx divided the worlds of the living from the world of the dead. So they're comparing this river, the Thames River in London, that's where this takes place, in London, to a place in Greek mythology that separates the living from the dead. So that's giving me clues right there that this river is probably, there's a problem with this river. So let's see a little bit more. So now here is another illustration right here. It looks like a toilet, and let's read our caption. These fancy toilets were all the rage in the 19th century. London, having one showed that you were wealthy and modern. Having a toilet showed that you were wealthy and modern. So that's telling me that they probably didn't have these in their homes. Now we all do. Sometimes we have more than one in our home. So if you even had one, you were like very, very rich that you could afford to have one. All right, next, let's look at this one down here. By first glance, it looks like a building of some sort, but let's look into the captions so I can learn more about the picture. London's new sewers had roughly 13,000 miles of pipe. That's about the distance from the North Pole to the South Pole. Okay, so now they are talking about the sewer system, the plumbing system, and they had miles and miles of pipes. So like they said, from the North Pole to the South Pole, that's a lot of pipe. And a dazzling wonder. When London's new sewer system opened in 1865, it was considered a technological marvel. It was designed to prevent human waste from flowing into the Thames River. Oh, so see, now that gives me more information about what this picture up here meant when it said that it described it as a division between the living and the dead. So now I know that human waste was actually flowing into the Thames River. And that's gross because that was probably a place where they would ride in boats. They would use it to travel. They would use it for leisure, like they would go fishing, or they would maybe even go swimming, and they would probably use it as drinking and cooking water too. And if there's waste flowing into it, I wouldn't want to use it. All right, next that I'm seeing on this page is I am seeing some headings. So they are green for us right here and right here. And it actually breaks up the text for us. It makes it a little bit easier for us to read and understand. So all right here is talking about the problem of poop. So that tells me right there that there was a problem with poop. And if I wanted to find out information about that, I would look here and find that information. If I wanted to find a whiff on the more information about a whiff on the wind, so like that gross stink, I would look here. All right, so I'm also seeing, last but not least, some keywords here that are bolded: fertilizer and intricate. So those are two words that I know are important to me, and I'm going to be looking up those definitions tomorrow. We're going to be talking about some context clues and why that's important while we're reading. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, so I have one more picture here. Like I said, those always capture my mind first. So let's talk about sewer monsters with this picture and these captions. Sewer monster, this hunk of yuck is called a fatberg. Fatbergs are problems in cities where older sewer systems, when cooking with oil and grease, and when they are poured down the drain, they end up in sewers where they harden into fat. These sticky blob traps are the kind of stuff like baby wipes, cotton balls, food scraps, and it should be recycled and placed in the trash and not flushed or not put down the sink. Because it eventually will get big enough and it'll clog pipes. So that's what it looks like. And look at her face. I would feel this same way if I had to touch that. So how many of you have ever had your parents cook with bacon at home, or they might have put oil in a pot? And how many of you have seen them take like a can or a recyclable and they pour that grease into the can? If you have, that's because they are protecting the sewers. It's very expensive to get plumbing fixed, so you have to be careful that you're not putting the bacon in there, or you're not flushing wipes, so on and so forth. All right, so again here, I'm seeing a whole bunch of headings, subheadings. So something had to be done, a new crisis. Let me move myself here again. Self-powering toilet. I have a whole new text here that we're going to be using to compare and contrast later in the week. Worm toilet and composite toilet. Interesting. So if I am answering questions about the text, or if I'm looking for information, I can come to these places to find it. Something had to be done. If I said to you in the section something had to be done, what needed to be done, you're going to look in that section to find that information. Or what happened in the section worm toilet, you're going to go there to summarize that for me. All right, guys, and last but not least, we have a whole bunch of our vocabulary terms on this page: epidemics, microscopic, sanitation, poverty. Did I miss any? Oh, and putrid. So I'm just looking for those so I know that those are important words that I'm going to need to study. I will study them tomorrow, but today we're just looking at the text features. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. Tomorrow, what we will do is we are actually going to go through, we're going to read the text. We're going to talk a little bit about what main idea and key details are, and we will go from there. All right, thanks for listening, and I will see you tomorrow.